Hello friends, and welcome to another video from my series Quick Thoughts On, in which I always talk about different stories from the rich Star Trek universe. 30 years and a bunch of weeks ago, the next episode of Star Trek The Next Generation premiered. It was called Samaritan Snare, and these are my honest opinions about it. The second season of TNG started strong. As time went on, the stories became worse and worse. But the second half of the season started to get better with each episode. The previous episode, called Q Who, was in my opinion one of the best episodes of the whole series. But we are not talking about Q Who anymore. Today's episode is, how to say it politely, stupid. And I mean really stupid. Wesley Crusher is going to Starbase 515 to take Starfleet exams, and Captain Picard needs to go with him too. He needs surgery and he doesn't want Dr. Pulaski to do it. Picard is upset he will miss the ship's exploration mission, and Wesley is upset that he will spend the next 6 hours in a small shuttle with a guy who doesn't like it and is already angry. He gets some advice from Geordi and Sonia Gomez about how to deal with Picard, and they leave. So in any other episode this storyline would be the worst thing, but the funny thing is that this is actually the good part of this episode. As soon as the two leave, the Enterprise, commanded now by Commander Riker, receives a distress call, meaning they need to answer it. When they meet the ship which sent the distress call, called the Mondor, they meet the crew, a previously unseen race, the Bucklets. Well, how to describe them? Sorry for using a politically incorrect term, but they are simply a bunch of retards in every meaning of the word. If you think about the word as a medical diagnosis, it fits perfectly. If you think about the word as an insult, it again fits perfectly. They intentionally made them look fat and ugly as possible, and they behave like a caricature of mentally ill people. And you know what? They outsmart the Enterprise crew, who are the best and the smartest of them all. And yet, our heroes are dumber than these creatures. The Packlets claim that they need help, but are not able to explain why or what exactly they need. They need what they need. So Riker does stupid thing number one, he sends his chief engineer to their ship. You know, the most competent technical guy they have, and he sends him to a ship filled with suspicious creatures from the race the Federation doesn't know yet. Even Worf tells Riker that this is a very stupid idea, but Riker ignores him. Actually, he ignores every good tip he gets in this episode. Why? Why is Riker made to be really dumb and really arrogant? So Geordi beams to the Packlets and starts the repair. Meanwhile, Picard and Wesley are flying to the station, and it's not a pleasant trip for any one of them. In any other episode this subplot would be just silly filler, but in this episode these scenes are actually the better parts. Back on the Enterprise, Deanna quickly runs to the bridge, informing Riker that Geordi is in great danger and he should beam him back as quickly as possible. But Riker, again, does nothing. Why is he so dumb in this episode? He has a crew member who can feel the emotions of the aliens, and this crew member tells him that they are dangerous and he does nothing. Why? I don't want to go in that direction, but it's hard for me to ignore the fact that he's ignoring the well-meant suggestions from a black guy and a woman. Anyway, he does the dumbest thing possible. He asks Geordi if everything is okay. What did he expect Geordi to say? Should he say, hey, these creatures are a bunch of retards, get me out of here? At least Geordi behaves like a Starfleet officer. Picard and Wesley have finally a normal conversation. We learn a lot about Picard himself. He has an artificial heart, which is failing and needs to be replaced. And he has it because when he was a cadet, he got into a fight with Nausicaans, a race which, as far as I can remember, we have not seen on Star Trek before, yet. One of the Nausicaans stabbed him directly into his heart, and when he saw the metal in his chest, he could only laugh, even though he doesn't understand why. We will explored this moment several years later in an episode which, if I remember correctly, is called Tapestry, and I'm really impressed by the continuity. Back on the ship, Riker is getting more and more angry because the Pecklets need much more repairs than they previously thought. After Geordi fixes one system, a different one breaks, so Riker finally starts to suspect that something might be going on. He's not very bright in this episode, is he? When Geordi wants to return, one of the Pecklets steals his phaser and blasts him away, and judging by the way he shot Geordi, he should have a big hole in his stomach and he should have several huge back injuries and broken bones. But no, of course he's okay. Needless to say, the Pecklets are slightly less dumb than they appear. They want to keep Geordi or swap him for information from the Enterprise computer. Picard and Wesley finally arrive to the starbase and the surgery can begin. The surgeon tells Picard that he has no reason to be afraid, and when he loses consciousness, he tells the other doctors how dangerous and complicated the surgery actually is. Okay, I guess lying to your patient to calm them down is okay, even in the 24th century. I personally hate it. Anytime I should go to any surgery, I want to have as much information as possible, including every possible outcome. So when a doctor tells me that everything will be okay, I will not get calm, I will get angry. But I guess it works on some people, so the doctor starts the operation on Picard's heart by starting to play with his, let's say nicely, private parts. Does he think that he's there for a circumcision? I can't say that I know much about medicine, but isn't Picard's heart in his chest? But whatever, we have to watch the Pecklet plotline. And Riker wants to come up with a plan to outsmart them. Well, maybe listening to your officers would help. This whole situation happened because Riker behaved like a fool. But this episode doesn't address it in any way. It's written like the writer thought that Riker's behavior is absolutely normal. Picard's operation also fails. The surgeon needs a specialist. Wait, the doctor who thought that Picard's heart is located in his crotch area is not competent to perform it. Also, they need a specialist. Wasn't the whole point of Picard going to the starbase that they are the specialists? So guess who is the specialist? Correct, Dr. Pulaski. The woman who offered herself as only the backup solution is suddenly the most competent person to do it. Riker pretends that he no longer wants Geordi, that he's basically the enemy right now, and that he will be shot together with the Pecklets. Geordi understands the message and pretends he switched the sides. Riker calms down the attack, and after that, they shoot some red gas out of the ship's bussard collectors. Geordi calls it a crimson force field and claims that it disarmed the Pecklets' ship, and they believe it without any checking. So they are sad and release Geordi. I'm sorry, how could these idiots outsmart the Federation's elite officers? That's painfully stupid. But whatever, Pulaski can now fly to the starbase to help save Captain Picard. So yes, the woman who he didn't want to touch him is the woman who helps to save his life. So I guess it's supposed to be ironic or something like that, but the way it was shot, it looks just stupid. And when Picard arrives healthy on the bridge, everybody welcomes him with an applause. The man wanted discretion. He doesn't like the idea that his health records should be public knowledge, so why can't you respect it? Of course, everybody knows what happened to him, but why do they have to be so in your face about it? Seriously, why can't they respect his privacy? I'm sorry, but this part seriously pisses me off. I don't know what the American laws say about this, but where I live, the doctor who informs the public about the medical condition of their patient without the patient's consent committed a crime. But in this episode, this crime is handled as something funny. Screw the whole episode. Patrick Stewart was a great actor, or maybe still is, I don't know, I haven't seen him in anything for many years. No, I haven't seen Logan and I don't plan to. You can put him into a tiny set and let him talk to a fellow actor and he will shine. Even Will Wheaton's performance is really good in these scenes. Why is the subplot in which two men are sitting in a small room eating a sandwich and talking to each other the best part of this episode? I'm sorry, I take it back. The only good thing about this episode. The Pecklets plot is laughably bad. The Pecklets themselves are basically a parody of mentally ill people, and there is no consistency in the level of their stupidity. We are asked to believe that they are stupid, but at the same time they are smart enough to be able to outsmart Federation officers and also many elite officers from different species, and steal their knowledge and technology. Why is Riker so dumb in this episode? Yes, I know, if he wasn't stupid he wouldn't have a story, but his character doesn't have any in-episode reason for making the decisions he makes. Why don't they at least give him an arc? He could start, for example, as an arrogant officer who thinks that because he has the highest rank, he is the smartest person on the bridge, and because of his failure in the end he would have some scene in which he apologizes to Worf and Troy and tells them that he now understands that a good leader knows when to listen to his officers or something like that, but they don't do anything with it. He simply makes bad decisions and the episode does nothing about it. And the ending just pisses me off. Overall, on my standard scale from 0 to 10, where 0 is complete garbage, 10 is a masterpiece, and 5 is just average, I would give this episode 2 out of 10. I'm really happy that I'm done with it, so now I can get into the next episode, which is Up the Long Ladder. Why? Well, that one was pretty bad too. As I'm looking at the list of the episodes of Season 2 I still have to cover, it doesn't look very nice, but I remember I liked at least one of them, so... Well, thank you very much for watching and see you soon. I really hope that I will be able to record the next video this weekend, but I am now searching for a new job. That's something which has the top priority for me right now because money is running out. So, thank you very much for watching and see you soon. Bye.